So completely out of left field, we got our third global first LD in the form of Vincent. Now, there's a little bit of controversy, once again, with Vincent, whether he's good or not. So this video is going to be a little bit different. We're not going to be talking about him like as if you should or should not pull for him. But we're going to talk about kind of like just why he's good. And like why he's, one, a great pick, and two, a lot better than what a lot of people are making him seem to be. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop on in. As always, big shout out to the Tom Harry Troop for the lovely infographics that will be displayed in this video. Lovely group of people. If you're not following them on any of the social media platforms such as the Facebook and or Reddit, or giving their website a check, see, guys, they really rushed to get this one out at the time of his release when they did. So please give them a look-see, give them a shout out. They're great people, very helpful to the community. And the only reason why I'm like a day later than this is because since he came out so abruptly, I really wanted to finalize my thoughts, and I was planning about going at this a little bit of a different way. I'm still going to premiere the footage in the background, which should be coming up now. But overall, Vincents LD is a double executing a AoE HP attack that inflicts, I believe it's splash damage, whichever one, and gives him access to a new debuff that he inflicts, which is a 60% defense drop, as well as a 10% sap that he applies. Vincent now also gets access to a 6-hit single target brave, single target HP attack follow-up that can be triggered every single time that Vincent attacks a target with 2 or more debuffs, which he automatically does because he applies 5 at a time. So overall, that's pretty much the gist of his LD. It gives him the stat buffs, it gives him the raises and everything. It gives him access to a new icon that raises his attack and max brave and his max damage overflow, which is overall very nice. The thing with this LD did is pretty much just not make his damage absurd, but give him the damage that he needs to compete in the Wolfenia era. A lot of people seem to think that damage is what runs this game, and if the characters don't output enough damage, then they're not really entirely worth using, which is completely false. What Vincent's biggest thing is, and what he does, is debuffing. Vincent is put on your team to do the debuffing, and now has a means of utilizing something other than both of his skills, because he can now rely on his mediocre HP attack to actually trigger that follow-up to do the right amount of damage that he possibly needs in order to actually efficiently run without burning through his skills, because as we know, Vincent moves nearly as fast as lightning of all characters. He does not have the high turn rate on his HP attack, so this allows him to slow it down a little bit, not waste as many turns, and not waste as many skills, as you can utilize his skills as just a means of keeping up his debuffs or keeping up his own buff that he needs from his skills. So overall, Vincent's purpose to be put on your team is to debuff the enemy, not to do damage. The damage that he got pretty much just allows him to function in the Wolfenia era while giving him access to a new frame debuff that helps the party even further. A 60% defense drop is absurd, and pair that alongside of other support characters or someone I'm going to talk about in a quick second. This will help open up Wolfenia bosses like no other. Not only that, he has the most crippling attack down debuff in the entire game at 80%. So pairing him alongside of someone on your team like Guy, who increases overall defense of the party, they're going to be hitting weak, very, very weak numbers. Now, do you see where I'm getting with this? This makes him very splashable alongside of other characters that don't run with a lot of debuffs. Vincent is very debuff aggressive and debuff hungry, and while a few of them could be pushed off, like maybe his imperils and things like that, you still want to keep those around so he's still capping on his own damage. So pairing him alongside of characters that have 1 or 2 debuffs is really the best, and the best character to pair him alongside of is a character that you should have 1000% pulled for, Jax. Jax LD is absolutely phenomenal. And I don't mean 1000% pulled for, like if you felt like you could skip him, that's perfectly fine. But he's a character that you should possibly have if you do need him. Jax LD debuff is a 50% defense down with a 30% brave damage increase. This pairs very well alongside of Vincent, considering that he only takes up 1 debuff slot with this stackable frame debuff. Once that gets kicked up and going, and you have a prominent support on your team, Jack's going to be doing capping, Vincent's going to be capping, your support's going to be capping, because their defense is going to be so low and they're going to be taking so much damage, it's absolutely absurd. It's absolutely absurd. Not only that, pairing them alongside of other just prominent support characters or very aura-based characters really helps make Vincent shine and will help open up your the enemy, even if he's the only debuffer on the team. Getting access to just that new frame debuff and the follow-ups really makes Vincent very Lufenia viable. He does need a rework and possible LD boards, but as he is now, we can utilize him the way that he is now and function him just fine without those. And just imagine the stuff that he can get further down the road when that time does come. Then he gets the updates on the Japanese version of the game that will eventually come to us with a rework for that comes out during Burst Plus and Lufenia Plus time. And we all know that Vincent is due a burst. Since he is a protagonist of his own game, he is due a burst. Honestly, I do think Vincent is a very phenomenal character, very splashable into a lot of teams. The only thing that you need to be careful of is just pairing him alongside of other debuffers, as well as putting him into a fight that absorbs fire or thunder. That's about it. Vincent, much like Balthier, is a very, very splashable character into a lot of team compositions and works and functions just fine. He doesn't need to do absurd amounts of damage. The damage that he does is competent enough to get him through the Lufenia times, and is future-proof as you can see much needed improvements much later on down the road. I think Vincent is a great character. Whether or not you want to pull for him is entirely up to you. That is all you. That's up to you. That is your decision. But overall, he's not someone to scoff at. He's not someone to be written off as underwhelming or underappreciated. Vincent is very well done and very well should be very well received amongst us. And if he wasn't a character that you were anticipating, like me myself, I was still anticipating possibly Zach. But hey, it's perfectly fine because Zach now has his LD. I'm good. Zach now has his LD on the Japanese version of the game, so I could just patiently wait. I'm sitting nice and pretty. But if it was a character that you weren't anticipating and hoping for, I can understand being disappointed, but just understand that he is still really good, still very hype, and still a very prominent character. And that's all I wanted to talk about in this video. Change it up a little bit. The banner is decent. Prompto is okay. Deuce is bad. But yeah, overall, great character, great stuff, and that's pretty much where we're gonna end it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you did enjoy. And I'll see you guys next time.